Hi, this is Kyle Connor, and welcome to your Phillies audio podcast for Opening Day 2010. The Phillies will be taking on the Washington Nationals on April 5th. I am recording this a little bit early because I will be heading down to Washington for the opener tomorrow. Should be quite an interesting scene to take in. Obviously, it's Roy Halladay's first start as a Philly. A lot of Phillies fans will be in attendance because of the close proximity of many of them to Washington, D.C. President Barack Obama will be throwing out the first pitch tomorrow, which means heightened security, which means a lot of polarizing reactions, which I'm sure will be permeating throughout the crowd. And because it's D.C. and because it's such a high-profile event, you always have the potential for political protests and other types of intriguing interactions on the streets surrounding the stadium. So I'm looking forward to it. It should be interesting to take everything in tomorrow and kind of see what kind of chaos might play out down there before, during, and after the game. But enough about that. Let's talk about the game a little bit. Obviously, I mentioned Roy Halladay making his first start as a Philly. Halladay hasn't faced the Washington Nationals since 2006. Not really much of a track record to go off of, but expectations are high for Halladay. He's moving from the American League East, where he was a Cy Young contender, to the National League East. Obviously, from the toughest division in baseball to a good division, but he has the luxury of facing the pitcher spot, facing the weaker number 8 hitters in the National League. And I think people are looking for him to hit the ground running tomorrow and to do a good job against the Washington Nationals. John Lannon will be getting the start for the Nats. Lannon in 8 starts against the Phillies, 0-6 with a 5.82 ERA. His biggest problem is he just can't keep guys off the bases. 52 hits and 18 walks in just 43 1/3 innings. If he's going to have any chance tomorrow, he's going to have to pitch to contact, he's going to have to work quick, and he's going to have to keep guys off the bases. Just way too many hits, way too many walks. So, I mean, things set up well for the Phillies to get a win here. Obviously, if the game is close, all eyes will turn to Ryan Madson to anchor what is a very depleted Phillies bullpen at the moment. Brad Lidge, J.C. Romero, both starting the year on the disabled list. Joe Blanton as well will start the year on the disabled list, even though he's not pitching out of the bullpen. Still a big story. One of the things with Madson that is kind of interesting is that for all the talk about how bad Brad Lidge was as a closer, just 31 saves and 42 opportunities, Madson, percentage-wise, was worse. 16 save opportunities, he saved just 10 games. So I think this is a big opportunity for him. He's going to get a week, maybe 2 weeks to show that he can lock down some games and really restore some confidence in him filling in that role and potentially being a closer down the road. He has not had great success as a closer in his career. So this is a big opportunity for him to prove it, not just to the Phillies, but if he wants to get a big contract, if he wants to get a chance to close for a team down the road, he needs to show that he can have some sort of success here. The other story to watch with the bullpen, obviously, is if the Phillies do end up in the bullpen in the 7th and 8th innings, because they have no left-hander other than Antonio Bastardo, will they go to Bastardo, and what will he do? Bastardo did not have a good spring. ERA over 5. I mean, he does average almost a 2-to-1 strikeout ratio to innings pitched, but he's another pitcher who he puts too many balls right on the bat, and too many balls end up in play, and he's going to have to step up, I think, or the Phillies might be in a little bit of trouble to start the season. I mean, they're going to need to go to him in key spots. They're going to need to go to him. I can think of right now, I mean, if you're in the 7th or 8th inning, Nationals have a threat going, Adam Dunn at the plate, they're going to need Antonio Bastardo to step up and get the big out. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch, that along with Madson. The other thing to watch with the team tomorrow that might be of a little interest is because they are facing a left-hander, I'm kind of curious whether Manuel goes with Ibanez 6th and Victorino 7th, or if he moves Victorino up against the left-hander, has him bat 6th to get a righty in there, drops Ibanez to 7th because he is a lefty and because of the poor spring that he's had. And whether that's going to be a continuing trend for the duration of the season. Polanco will bat second, and I think he's going to bat second most, if not all, of the year. And Victorino is going to be actually a pretty good storyline to track in the early going, because there is a sizable difference from him hitting in the second spot, sandwiched between Rollins and Utley. Howard obviously behind Utley. Victorino had the luxury of hitting a lot of fastballs and getting a lot of good pitches to hit. Now he's got Carlos Ruiz in the pitcher spot behind him. He's got a light-hitting Raul Ibanez potentially in front of him. He's going to have to show that he's more than just a first-ball, fastball type hitter. He's going to have to actually jump on some pitches. He's going to have to actually work the count a little bit better. And this is going to be interesting to see how he evolves as a hitter this year, moving into this new role. I'd expect his average to drop a little bit, but hopefully the offsetting factor will be that his power numbers and particularly his RBIs go up as a result. So that will be another thing to watch tomorrow. Finally, just because it is opening day, expectations are high for this team. They've been in the playoffs 3 years, 3 NL East division titles in a row. They won the World Series in 2008, back-to-back pennants the last 2 years. Vegas has them as the odds-on favorite to win the National League again. Vegas has the over-under on wins at 92.5. I think if you ask most Phillies fans, their expectations are for them to go a little bit over this year. So, I mean, you're looking for possible win total in the mid-90s in terms of fan expectation. A lot of the prediction rags that came out in the last week or so have the Phillies winning the World Series. So, everybody, all eyes are going to be on this team this year, especially in relation to the National League, and they're going to have to live up to the hype. And we'll see how they start it tomorrow. This should be a series where the Phillies are favored to win all 3 games. It should be a series where they can at least get 2 of these 3 games to start it out. And you don't want to get in a situation where your bullpen's being exploited. You can't really keep anything intact down there, and you start falling behind some of these clubs where the Braves, because of their starting pitching, could get out to a hot run. The Florida Marlins are going to rake this year at the plate. They could start hot. I think it's imperative for the Phillies to kind of set the tone here in the first month. And if they survive these first few weeks, they get Blanton back, they get Lidge back, they get Romero back, I think it's going to be clear sailing from there. So you don't want to get too buried in too big a hole, but at the same time, you don't want to overreact to some early April losses as well. So that's about it. This will be a daily podcast, so keep track of it. If you have any questions, you can email us questions or comments at philliesfamily@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And that's all.